Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Dr. C channel. Thank you very much for tuning in for my third video on resin printing, 3D resin printing. And I've got me an illegal printer over here. It is a Leego Mars 2 Pro 4K, a resin printer. So this video is part of a series about resin printing, and this is the third video in the series. It'll be about getting your printer print ready. So prep work on the printer itself, maybe calibration for instance. I'll show you what that involves, how to do that. Then we'll have a look at what we actually want to print, right? Get that design, if you will, print ready for a resin printer. And then getting the printer you have printing, right? That's it. That's the premise of this video. Let's get started.
Serious?
So, ladies and gentlemen, again, I have me an Leego Mars 2 4K Pro printer over here. This video should tell you what to do with any resin printer, however. So I'll specifically show you what's involved with this printer, but it should translate to your printer as well, whatever printer you have. Okay, so first thing you want to do, same as with extrusion printers, you want to level this build plate, the bed. Well, bed, it's a it'll print on the bottom side of this this plate, of course. But yeah, we'll have to make sure that it's horizontal, or at least as horizontal as the monitor in your printer, in two directions, and be of the correct height, distance from the build plate. Okie dokie. What I'll do, the first thing you want to do with this printer is remove this canister, this resin bath. There are two thumb screws, one on either side. Loosen those up, and then you can take off that resin bath. Next thing you want to do, most of these printers will have a build surface that can swivel, and it gets fixed in place with two screws. In the case of this printer, two screws, one over here and one over here. Yeah, and the printer actually came with a couple of tools. You'll need one Allen key for this printer to loosen up these two screws, or bolts rather. So loosen those up. Actually, one of the bolts is for this swivel action, and the other one is for the elevation. There's actually a spring in it, but you can hopefully see that I can now move this build plate up and down. Alright, so you just leave it as is, so that it can move in all directions. Then you take a piece of printing paper and put it onto the printing monitor over here. Right, then switch on the printer itself. Again, this is for this Leego printer, right? Any of these kinds of printers will have some way of moving the build plate up and down. So in this case that's a manual, and then you can move the plate up and down manually, or press this home button, which should move the bed down until it won't go any further. The build plate is actually pressed against the build monitor, and I can't even remove that paper anymore, that printing paper. That's what you want to see. So obviously our build plate is now completely level, parallel in both directions with our build monitor, our exposure monitor, right? And okay, so what I'll do now is tighten these bolts back down so that our build plate will stay in this exact orientation. Basically, we have now leveled our build plate. Well, not only leveled, we've also set some height, a height. And that might sound peculiar, but we haven't actually set the base level yet. And we'll do that by entering out of this screen with the back button and then set Z0. Basically set the base level. So click and confirm, and that's it. That's it. We have now well, set our base level, and we can still not remove the paper. So we'll get back into manual and move the bed up a couple of millimeters. Well, actually a couple of centimeters, so that we can reinstall our resin bath. Well, a little more, please. There, that should be enough. We should now be able to reinstall the resin bath, and we can, oh actually you will need to raise the build plate a whole lot more, because this way it's very hard to get resin in your reservoir, obviously. So, but still, that's the calibration procedure with this printer. So next thing we'll do is have a look at what we actually want to print. Alrighty guys, so something to print. Actually I couldn't for the life of me think of something, but let's try and see if we can find something interesting to print. So we're gonna go to Thingiverse. Hotchikade, and okay, so one of my favorite television series of all time is Galactica. Not the original Galactica, but I'm not sure what it's called, but a newer version. Right, so you'll instantly see what I mean when I go and search Galactica. And okay, so I've already had a look, right, obviously, and this here, yeah, I'm not sure, there's not a whole lot of detail in this model from Neophyte. Neophyte, thank you very much for the design. I'll credit you in the description of this here video. So what he designed is a Cylon Raider, right, and it's a space, it's a sci-fi spacecraft. And yeah, again, there's not a whole lot of detail in it, but it's a sleek design also in the television series, so that's just. And he designed it in 2 pieces. Why? Well, this way it's easier to print, right? You have flat surfaces to print. Yeah, I do very much like this craft in the series. Yeah, again, it's not really a show of the capabilities of a resin printer, but in this video I'm only going to show you how to get started, right? You'll have to, actually, this printer came with a nice chess piece as a sample print on the memory stick that came with the printer. You should definitely give that a try. But okay, so what we'll do is Thingiverse, Thing Files, and download to the 2 sections. Download and download. And so those are the 2 STL files. And we'll now have to slice them, make them ready to print. And for that, I'll be using Chitubox. Yeah, actually the printer's memory card, or the memory stick that came with the printer, had Chitubox on it, and the videos I watched about resin printing also mentioned Chitubox. I don't know if it's the best slicer, but also the manual that came with the Mars printer mentioned Chitubox. So I'm sure it works. For this video it'll get the job done. So let's have a look at Chitubox. Okie dokie, so I am now in Chitubox version 1.9.4, And the first time you use this program or any slicer, you'll have to tell it what your printer's specifications, its dimensions and such are, and its resolution in this case. So therefore we'll click on settings on our right over here, so click settings. Now I've already added a printer with the plus thing over here, the plus folder, and I've made an Elegoo Mars 3 Pro, which is what I have. So depending on your printer, you'll have to set up the resolution over here, and in the case of this Elegoo printer, it was clearly mentioned in the manual. And your printer should also come with a manual that states its resolution in X and Y. And also its print volume in X, Y, and Z in 3D, right? Now I must say I had to use these arrows trying to type in these numbers. Somehow didn't really work all that well. A bug or a feature, let's call it, of Cheatbox, right? But well, these numbers you see here are straight from the manual. This is all correct. Right, then the second thing is, let's see, print settings. Now everything you see here is default, except for the exposure time. Exposure time for the normal layers and the bottom layers. And typically you'll find that exposure time on the bottle of your resin, right? Or maybe on a spec sheet of the manufacturer of the supplier of the resin. But in the case of the resin I have, which is also from Elegoo, this exposure time and the bottom exposure time are clearly mentioned on the label of the resin. Yeah, and also this layer height. Yeah, this layer height, but it's arbitrary. Yeah, you can, if you want to have your prints be more intricate, you can change it. I'll leave it as is. Advanced. I'll change nothing else actually. So obviously I've had to set up the resolution and dimensions and these exposure times. That's it. That's it. Okay, next thing is we'll drag the two downloads, the designs, in my case, right, the two designs, onto my build plate. Hartstikke. There's one, and I'll move it a little bit off of the center so that they won't be on top of each other. This software is new to me, right? So there. I'd like a little more distance maybe, even though there shouldn't be any stringing, but this way it might be easier to scrape the parts off of the build plate. Who knows? I don't know. So okay, so they are clearly not attached to each other this way. Okay, also I won't be printing with any kind of support. Yeah. In most cases probably you would, but if I'd be using a support, it would be very hard to then glue the pieces together probably. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so this is what I'll do, and I'll then click slice. You can actually, if you hover your mouse over the slice button, you can see whether your object fits in the dimensions of your printer. And clearly it easily does. Okay, so we slice that. Hartstikke, and okie dokie. Yeah, that looks great. Okay, so the printer came with a memory stick. Most printers will probably come with a memory stick. I'll insert that. Hartstikke, and you can actually here see that chess piece that came on the memory card, but we won't be printing that. Maybe I'll print it on a later date. Okay, so my USB drive is J, the letter J, so I will then save Raider front to drive J. There. Okay, save. And that is it. That's our prep work. So that's now we have a printable model on our memory stick. Let's get back to the printer. So guys, we are actually almost there, ready to get printing. And let's see, yeah, we'll have to add our resin to this resin bath over here, this reservoir for our resin. So we've got the resin flask canister over here, and in case you didn't notice, this print will be approximately 7 milliliters. So that's the volume of the print we're gonna attempt to do. And it'll take 5 hours with default settings. Maybe I could have shortened that somehow, but yeah, okay. As is, 5 hours, 7 milliliters. So it would probably be handy to have a measuring cup, right? But I don't, so I'll pour in some resin. I'll just guesstimate it. Oh, by the way, you'll have to stir the resin first, so I've already done so. So I'm gonna pour in a resin, green resin, and this is definitely more than we'll need, but you can always put it back in the flask, in the canister. And okay, ideally you'd be wearing gloves, which I'm not, apparently. Yeah, okay. So, okay, the resin is in the bath, and I'm actually gonna put the protective hood on. Chickadee. As you can tell, I've already inserted my memory card thing, memory stick, into the printer, and we'll switch the printer on. There we go. And okay, so this time I definitely want to be printing. So let's hit print, and over here we see actually a graphical representation of our radar. I can actually, well, you might not be able to, but I can actually see what I'll be printing. So I'll hit that and press play, maybe? Yeah, something's happening. So it's the printer is now lowering our build plate. This, I must say, is very exciting. Very, very exciting. So yeah, hopefully what is now happening is the printer is now exposing the first layer. And from the settings in our slicer, that should take 60 seconds, so a minute. And maybe it'll do that for a couple of layers, the first layers. I don't know. Basically what it's doing is it's making sure that the first layer actually sticks to the build plate. That's why the first layer takes longer than the rest of the layers. So yeah, again, this print will take approximately 5 hours. And obviously I won't have you sit through a video of 5 hours. Yeah, I'll let the printer do its thing, and we'll get back to it once it's done and ready. So for you that'll be a second, and for me it'll be 5 hours. Here we go. So guys, it's actually now the next day. I've let the printer run overnight, and in the middle of the night I switched it off. So there's nothing wrong. I simply switched off the printer as I didn't want to have it run the rest of the night. However, the display did tell us that the print was ready. No issues at all. So we should now have our silent radar. And at the top of our build plate over here. And yeah, obviously I haven't done any cleaning, and I haven't obviously removed it from the build plate, but we definitely have two pieces. Now I'll actually do a separate video on how to get things off of build plates, do the cleaning and other finishing tasks. I won't do that now, or I won't include it in this video as I'm new to it, right? I don't want to misinform you. But yeah, this video's intentions are to show you how to get things started. To start your first print, just as I've now done. In my case, looks to be successful. We do have a green Cylon radar. You tell me in the comment section below if you are also starting out with resin printers. What was your first print experience like? Was it also successful? Any issues? So far this has worked well. Now probably I could have improved things, maybe shortened the build time. Yeah, in most cases people tell me that you do want to use supports, but yeah, in this case I didn't. As again, I want to have clean cuts to glue against. So if you're left with questions, hit me up, comment down below. I hope this video was informative to you. It was definitely informative for me. Do look up my playlist for resin printers. There'll be a whole lot more videos in that playlist. For now, I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video. Bye bye.